Hello, what about a visit to Parklea Branching Out in Port Glasgow? Welcome along to the channel. Join me, David, as we take a visit to the Parklea Branching Out, and well, you may recognise this section of the garden. Right now, we're at the Commonwealth Games Garden, and we're going to find out all about how it's came down to here in Port Glasgow during this video.
I'm Sharon. I'm the manager here at Parklea Branching Out.
And I'm Christine. I'm head of social and therapeutic horticulture here at Parklea Branching Out.
Good. Well, we'll find out a wee bit about the overall Parklea Branching Out. But first of all, some interesting news you got not so long ago about the Commonwealth Games Garden. Tell us a wee bit about that.
So yes, we were contacted a few weeks back now to see if we would be, if we were able to take the nature garden that would be on display at the opening ceremony at the Commonwealth Games. And when we were first contacted, I then contacted Christine. We spoke about to see, because it was such a large scale project, and to see if we were able to do that. But we did get really excited, but we had to ask ourselves, were we able to manage a garden of that size?
It's quite big. You don't think it would be as big being in a stage setting, but when you see it up close and personal, it's a funeral size.
It's 100 square metres is the actual coverage of the garden. So when it was on stage, I think it took up 200 square metres because of the pathways that they did.
And the entertainers in the midst of it. So,
So no, it's 18 separate sections that go together to make it up.
Now, from the amount of bees and butterflies on it, it's great to see all that nature.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely
fantastic.
Biodiversity is going crazy for it.
Yeah.
And as much as we knew it's a nature garden, and to see it actually here and to see the biodiversity and the nature up close it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, and we are absolutely delighted that we are the beneficiary of that garden.
You've got so many beehives.
Yes.
Did the bees know these were coming?
We've been building the bees up, haven't we, a little bit. We did have beehives that haven't been quite so successful over the last few years, but...
And we're working in partnership with Inverclyde Shed.
Right.
And David's at Inverclyde Shed is helping us look after our hives. We've recently, at the start of the year, we moved the hives to another location within the site because they weren't doing very well. It's on their first location, so we've moved them and they are thriving.
Did Inverclyde Shed help build them, or is it from a beekeeping point of view?
Yeah, we had our own hives.
Right.
As Christine said, they weren't doing that great, and we needed a bit of help. I think they appreciate the education and the care that beehives require, and that's you have to work around that and develop your knowledge around that. And we don't have all that knowledge, so we needed a bit of help, and we reached out. And yeah, we've been given that help to look after them, and from that, the difference in what the hives are thriving.
Sure.
And we're seeing we'll start to see the results of that. But I think more importantly for us, the hives is around how do we educate ourselves and how do we educate our community around the benefits of the hives.
Yeah.
And that's something that we feel really quite strongly about.
Do you think over time we'll produce honey, or is that part of it?
I think they are now. I think they absolutely are now. And I think, maybe over the next couple of weeks, again, working with David at the shed, and we hope to have a little celebration of our garden with our community, our service users here, and parents and carers, and some invited guests. We're looking to do a wee kind of small local celebration, and hopefully we'll see what our hives have produced. But again, more around the educational way. We don't want to take the honey away from our hives over the winter. but what that can do.
That feeds
Yeah.
the next
Yeah.
generation.
And we're not, this is more about sharing and educating ourselves around what our bees do and our biodiversity here.
The garden came from the Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games official opening in the Hydro in Glasgow, and it's going to be planted up as a permanent feature within the garden itself in Parklea Branching Out. So it's definitely wildlife friendly, isn't it? Seen a little butterfly as well. Look how many bees is here. Can't believe how many bees we've got. Fantastic.
Thing I did notice, and I've never really been up close to so many bees, is that they don't bother. They don't bother with you. It's not like a bird that would fly away.
No, the
Just
bees
get
are
bored.
just busy doing their own thing, enjoying
All of
the
that. And
flowers.
folk will see that on the video because of the number of times we did zoom in on the bees.
There's
But
so many
clusters,
different varieties
yeah.
as well. Even this morning I was looking at them on one small section of allium. We counted like 6 or 7 different varieties of bees. It was
And
amazing.
are those all coming from you?
No, it's only the
No.
honeybees that we've
Only
got.
the
So
honeybees.
yeah,
And how do you tell the difference?
Well, I think we're gonna do- there's different
Yeah,
bees,
yeah.
different sizes and everything. So yeah, but I think we need to do that as well. Have a bee ident up there too,
We're
so that people can identify them
Yeah.
on the plants, because we're getting asked it a lot.
A few years ago, we worked with Inverclyde Council Community Learning Development through the literacy support
Right.
for some of our service users. And at that time, they created nature boards, but we weren't able to actually put the nature boards around the site. And now we're going to bring that back. And so at Parklea Branching Out, we want to create a nature trail, and we want to educate people visiting our site. But we want our service users will be part of that, about developing their literacies and numeracy, and actually doing more of the research around all the different bees, our honeybees, bumblebees, and what we would find here in within our community here, our nature space.
There's a home for wildlife here at the garden. I'll just show you where the Commonwealth Games Garden is. That's one section right there, and the other section there.
Now, getting back to the Commonwealth Garden, you said you had an approach. Why particularly Parklea get approached, do you think?
I think there's a connection right away from Glasgow to the Clyde, and that connection and what Inverclyde would have, or what Port Glasgow would have been part of back in history. But it was a friend of our two fathers were friends and worked together,
Right.
and we made this connection many years ago. And Paul English, who was editor-in-chief at the Commonwealth Games, is a visitor here at Parklea, and he's a friend of Parklea. And when he was brought in, he obviously was working at the Commonwealth Games, and the garden was there, and the question was asked about where was the garden, where was its final home going to be. And I'm not sure if there was a destination for it, or a home for it. And that's when Parklea was contacted to see if it was something that we would be interested in. And we absolutely, yeah.
And did they pay for it all to be shipped down? And all
Glasgow
that stuff?
26
Yeah,
have
they've been really helpful. Yes, they did support that with the majority of it, definitely.
at the start we were unsure,
Right.
but when we knew ourselves that we could manage this, we would have done what we could to make that work. The support that Parklea Branching Out gets is a charity, and all the donations and support, we knew that we could afford to put the whatever logistically was needed to make that work, and then the costs associated with it. But fortunately,
Yeah, they've been really supportive and seeing where it's going, and yeah, even the staff came along to make sure it all got here in one piece and everything as well.
so they were great. Glasgow, because Glasgow 26, I suppose the committee or the panel there would have had to agree that the garden this could come to, because it could have stayed in Glasgow and
Sure,
somewhere in
Glasgow.
Glasgow. Yeah, but I think the connection was the Clyde and that.
Glasgow element.
And the port of Glasgow, as it would have been known in its day, was the port of Glasgow, and that. So that was and we hope to carry on.
Yeah, and also what we said we could do with it as well, wasn't it? Because we said how we could continue that legacy and what we could do with it in the future.
And we've got another section of the Commonwealth Games Garden over in another section of the garden, because it's just too big to go in the same place. It's great, it's got a home right here in Port Glasgow. Gets to live on. You can come along and visit it here at Parklea Branching Out in the west of Scotland, in Inverclyde.
When it got delivered down, was it after the games or during the games themselves?
Yeah, the games had just finished. The garden had been, or part of the garden had been at Scotstoun for a week during the games. And then, yes, I think the games had just finished, I think, hadn't they, when it came here? So, yes, it came on 2 deliveries of 2 big Arctic pattern-sided lorries filled with them, and 2 forklift drivers and 2 forklifts to take it off together in unison. So yeah, logistically it was fitting them in the space on the lorries and everything was quite precise.
You said earlier on what you see just now is a large fraction, but a fraction nonetheless of how it originally came.
Yeah, and it's come into bloom even more from then as well. So visually, and that is far more on show than it probably was actually the actual ceremony.
Yeah.
But yeah, 18 sections altogether. We managed to use 15 of them within that, keeping that saltire shape as much as possible. 3 we couldn't quite fit in just because of keeping the existing pathways open and things like that. It's still managed to. Yeah, moving them had got much more difficult, I think, because they had been outside for a week and they'd had the Scottish rain on them for a week. Whereas when they were moving them in and out of the hydro, they were also keeping them minimum watering, so they were keeping them light. So they were heavier, definitely.
Yeah, and we've got a fantastic team here at Parklea, and yeah, I think between myself and Christine, we built everybody up to
An
to
expectation.
yeah, we absolutely did, because we were worried that when these, they had been, moved about so much over a couple of weeks, that the hot weather and just different things. So when the curtain opened up in the Arctic lorry,
There was relief.
it was
Yeah.
relief, but we were so impressed with the quality of
And more so since we've seen it up
condition of
close, that
them.
every time we see it, and yeah, it's just it's just come into bloom.
And
How do you
that
see-
inspired our team, and it continues to inspire our team.
Mhm.
And for that,
Yeah.
that alone, that is just so for us as a team here and a horticultural team, to see the inspiration that's given our staff is very, very important.
Yeah, they're
because
very
it's a big job.
enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That you have already planted up some of the plants physically in your own property, put it that way.
Yeah, that is the plan for the majority of them
Right.
in the long term anyway. But yes, those 3 extra ones have now been dismantled and planted around the site. Some of the areas we'd already identified that needed a little bit of softening. And they just look like they were chosen especially for it. They really do.
The bed will give more room as well, I guess. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then a lot of self-seeding plants.
There will be some self-seeding, but the majority of these will be propagated from division and cuttings as well. But the majority of them will be perennials that clump form, that we will then split as they get bigger and divide them that way.
And all frost friendly, we hope.
Yes.
There are a couple of ones that have been identified as being a little bit more tender, that maybe need some overwintering in a polytunnel, but we're going to learn about them. It's part of the learning.
And you said most of them will go into the ground, but what about the rest? Will they go into greenhouses? Or?
We are going to share them with some of our community partners within Inverclyde. Was one of the first things we'll do as well, to share them around a little bit so we don't get the monopoly on them all, and how they can then benefit from them as well.
And they'll also get the information on the plant arrangement, but also they'll get the education around this is how you can propagate and continue the life cycle of these plants.
And the wildlife habitat here, I've got a pond. Wildlife loves ponds. That's an excellent pond, isn't it? Look at that. And there's a butterfly enjoying that verbena. Yeah, butterfly definitely enjoying the verbena here. And the verbena right here at the pond.
Now let's talk about Parklea Branching Out Tour. How long has it been on the go now?
Nearly 30 years.
Maybe.
Nearly 30 years.
30 years next year.
And that's been inspired by our service users.
Yeah.
As a charity, we support young people and adults with learning disabilities and additional needs. And they have been the inspiration to carry the model or to use a model of social and therapeutic horticulture as an intervention here. And we've built that model, but the client group have been the inspiration. They have been the ones that connection with horticulture and our environment here have came back, and we've built that programme around it to where we are today. But more and more people want to.
How many people stay with the programme for a long time, or is there a set time where the clients would move on?
Yeah, for some people it's a long-term placement, depending on their needs. But as our programmes have developed and the expectation for, people want to develop their knowledge and they want to naturally move on. So the programmes we've adapted our programmes. So for example, our employability programme, where it's focused on it's a time limited period where a young person can come in, develop their skills, achieve the qualification, and with support from our employability manager, our team of coordinators, and our partners, that young person would have the skills and capacity and a bit of resilience to then move on.
Have any of your team of clients ended up being so indispensable you said just stay with us and we'll find you work?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we've through our own charity income and how we're able to generate income, we're able to then support some young people to progress onto employment, and some of that is within Parklea Branching Out as well. So yeah, we have a percentage of our staff here that have additional needs and that they are supported and they contribute to the staff, to our staff team.
So when they come in, we now know we're sitting in this really nice cafe, which is fairly new. Can people decide, look, I don't want to go deal with plants, but I'm quite happy to deal with people, make up coffee, that kind of thing. Is that also part of the setup?
Yeah, well, the vision around, we've always had a vision and we've always operated a small cafe type environment, within our facilities. But it didn't really allow us to develop that further and give the capacity that it needs to bring more people in, to give them an opportunity. So the vision had been there, and fortunately, from about 2000 and early 2021, 22, we were pursuing funding applications to look at a capital investment, and we were very fortunate with support from Inverclyde Council and the Scottish Government and various other capital funders that we've brought this vision to where it is today. And so yes, that now gives a programme of opportunities whereby a young person can come in and carry out horticulture, to now we've got the cafe and hospitality.
And you still have your original, I'll call it staff room for the better use of the name now.
Yeah, it's a rest area, a multi-use rest area, tea breaks. Still have that. That's actually, over the next couple of months, will be refurbished to provide and to improve our rest area, but also to create a training space that will be a step before a young person maybe comes into or identified whether the cafe is the right environment for the young person to move on to.
Christine, it's a kind of odd time, I suppose, just now. Most of all your summer bearings well gone. When do you get back into?
Well, we already are behind the scenes. So the first plugs for autumn have already been delivered this week. So we're starting to put those on. Spring bulbs have been ordered as well, so they will be coming in soon. So we already have started behind the scenes. You're on to the next season before the present one is finished.
Sure.
It's just the public don't see that side of things. So, yeah.
And you have to use a commercial grower to make that initial start, or did you see the plug?
Yeah, we've discovered that's probably the best way now. The amount that we grow each year, we couldn't grow that much from seed ourselves, and we don't have the right facilities to grow a lot of them. Specialised like environment that they need, conditions that they need. So yeah, the majority of plants that we buy in plugs, and then we grow them on. I mean, like tiny ones in trays. You can be like 350 in a tray, so they are tiny. But yeah, it gives them that start that we can then take them from there.
Now, Parklea Branching Out is a garden centre, so you're able to purchase various plants. And here's a selection of them. Have some nice colours for your garden there. And here's a herbs section. And some apple mint. And in the greenhouse area, there's various accessories for your own garden.
And are your greenhouses heated or just
Some are heated.
some-
Yeah, some are heated. We do have different heating in them, but to be honest, the plants, when we grow them in, the heating isn't really for the plants, it's for the people.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're right
The
beside
plants
the river.
don't really
That's
that.
the winter.
Yeah.
And that's challenging for, you know, a site of this size and the different facilities that we have, and that we are also working towards our net zero policy
Right.
around renewables.
Sure.
Unfortunately, you know, like we have our facilities, the building that we're sitting in today is a ground source heat pump.
All right.
Our greenhouses are large propagation areas, in our large greenhouses are biomass.
Right.
We have air source heat pump as well in our outbuilding and our community space, and we're now looking at a feasibility study of the future of improving that heat source and looking at the renewable side of things.
Port Glasgow not a great place for solar power?
Yes, we do. We're just actually bringing in a consultant to carry a site investigation with us to look at that, because you have to, you know, our biomass is 15 years old now.
Right.
It's not heating our people. And the more demand or the more need for heating our people within our fantastic greenhouses. But the winter, it's you know, it's hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, when you have vulnerable people, whether that be your service user to volunteers at different ages and abilities. So yeah, we want to look after our people and continue to improve the fantastic site that we have. Yeah.
Now, I just want to show you this next section of the garden, the raised beds with a great display of lobelia and various other plants we'll take a look at. This is nice. So in with the lobelia, we've got a selection of begonia. Can see some marigolds in there as well. Marigold. And in this polytunnel, we've got various plants coming along here, the growing area. And in this section we have some raised beds with a kitchen garden with veg and herbs. And this is a little orchard area. You can just see on one of the trees we've got some apples coming up. And it's very important to have your own supply of compost, the various compost bins. We've got nice yellow colour from African marigold. Look at all that nice yellow colour. Also known as Aztec or American marigold. Let's take a look at this plant. Oh, look at the amount of colour from this raised bed. Just see here as well, we've got some nasturtium. It's another favourite with the bees. And some poppy. At the pond area, there's a nice little seating area over there. I'm going to take a little sit down and look at the view from the bench. I like to do that on the garden videos. Have a little sit down and appreciate the view from the bench. And here is the view from the bench. Just sit here for a wee while and appreciate the garden. Just over there, the Commonwealth Games Garden, Glasgow 2026.
So let's finish up by you telling us how to get in contact with you via your Facebooks and all these other fancy social media things.
So we are on social media on Instagram. It's just Parklea Branching Out at Instagram. We're also on Facebook, again, the same Parklea Branching Out, and I think the two are linked together, so if you find one, you'll find the other. We have a website that is just being updated at the moment. So much has changed in the last couple of years. We need to get that on top of that. But there are links to that in both of those platforms.
Good. Well, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for the photos and footage you've taken.
Thank you for joining me, David, here on this visit to Parklea Branching Out in Port Glasgow in the west of Scotland. I'll see you on the next video.